Remember about a month and a half ago when we had a lot of people calling in every day, and they were hot, Dibs. They were all hot and bothered because why? Kyle Shanahan is arrogant. The arrogance of Kyle Shanahan to think that after he would trade up and make Trey Lance the third pick in the draft and then not even allow him on the field long enough to know what he has. And the play calling and the injury and the Jimmy and the now you're going to sell to us the 7th round pick out of Iowa State in Brock Purdy. Who does this guy think he is? And so remember, for a lot of people, it was hot seat or at minimum, we're going to do Super Bowl or bust.
Exactly.
We refuse to let him off the hook. He needs to be accountable. So he trades Trey Lance, and he has a mea culpa press conference the very next night. Sounds regretful, apologetic, understanding of the situation. And while some people, I think, appreciated that, you looked at Kyle Shanahan and went, man, this guy thinks his bleep don't stink. I would like to ask everyone today, and 888-957-9570, you can fire away. Good afternoon. Twitch and YouTube, powered by First NorCal Credit Union. Thank you for being here. Chat is open. Comcast Business text line. Does he still look arrogant to you now? Suddenly feels like he's not that arrogant anymore.
Well, he is probably still as arrogant, but when you're 5-0, arrogance is justified. And that's the beauty of arrogance. You could be arrogant. Brad Pitt is arrogant. Tom Cruise is arrogant. And you know what? You can be arrogant when you're getting paid $20 or $30 million a movie and you are dating a supermodel and you're at the top of your game. So the whole idea about arrogance to me is a curious one because I think we assign arrogance to people who are more cocky or show more cocksure of a nature than they probably should. If you're on top of the world, and right now Shanahan is, they're 5-0. He's got the MVP in waiting in his quarterback. The laminated play sheet has never been more laminated, and it's never been a better play sheet. That thing right now is an absolute. Just short of the 10 Commandments, it's probably the second best document in the world right now.
That thing is headed for Magna Cartaville.
Without a doubt.
Cover it in glass.
Exactly.
At the American government and set up one of those deals where if anybody breaks the glass, it goes about 20 feet below the surface of the ground.
Yes.
So total security around that thing.
Declaration of Independence.
That's
you're going to
right.
have to step aside because right now that laminated play sheet is everything. And so his arrogance right now is justified. So you're not arrogant when you are that cocky, and I'm not saying he is, but the arrogance, I think, of Kyle Shanahan right now is not as high because you're 5-0.
Or does it just come off differently? I thought you brought up something real good when we were in the other room sitting here talking this out a little bit. And it was this. You brought up the name, I'm still in San Francisco. Jason Dumas saw me yesterday riding my bike down the street.
Oh, he did?
And he put it on Twitter. Gabe Kapler.
Did he film it or just like...
Oh, he filmed it in a creepy sort of a way, like he's a block away from me. But look, there he is. Gabe's still in San Francisco. So he was riding his bike.
Helmet on, I'm sure.
No.
Wow.
Gabe Kapler. Arrogant? Oh, see, now
he's so arrogant.
That feels so different right now, doesn't it?
Because Mark, when he was 107 and 55,
then not so much.
Not arrogant.
That's my point.
Sorry.
So
I jumped the queue.
No, it's all good. You look at Gabe Kapler right now, and that doesn't feel good. Because if you're going to be arrogant, you're supposed to back it up. Think about what we ask baseball players to do now. We love a bat flip. It takes over the internet when there's a great bat flip. Is there anything more arrogant than a bat flip? But we love it. Why? Because it is automatically paired with success.
Right.
If you bat flip and the ball gets caught on the warning track, but caught, if that happens, we're not going to like the bat flip anymore.
You know what is the most arrogant act in sports? And we all look at it and we think, oh my God, that is so great. It's when a three-point shooter shoots a three-point shot and turns around before the ball even goes to the rim
Nick Young.
or in Steph Curry.
Well, but
Nick Young, it's a miss.
Right. Oh, you're talking about if it goes in.
I'm talking about the reason why we don't look at Steph Curry as arrogant. This man will shoot a shot in a professional basketball game
all he
against
got.
a trained athlete. Thank you. Save it for 5:58.
My bad.
Sorry, Grandy. We're going to be running late today. Steph Curry has the audacity. He has the arrogance to rise and fire, shoot a shot, and turn around before it's even close to the basket and run down court. That, to me, is the epitome of arrogance. But let me think. 4 titles, 2-time MVP, 1-time unanimous, NBA Finals MVP. It's not arrogant when you're really, 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 really good.
Yes.
And that, I think, is where we are with Kyle Shanahan. They're 5-0. His QB, who they plucked out of nowhere, is on track to be an MVP. So when you win and you're good, it's not seen as arrogance.
Right. But it still is. I mean,
Sorry, Steph, but I'm just keeping it a
it
buck.
is.
I'm keeping it real.
You know what I like to call it?
Self-confidence.
A healthy ego.
Right.
Got a healthy ego, and they all do. You can't perform at this level without a healthy ego.
Of course, but if we're going to use the A word and we're going to talk about my perfectly manicured beard, then you have to talk about a guy who shimmy shakes and no-look threes and all the rest of it.
Yep.
I mean, if you want to talk about bat flips, this guy bat flips before the pitch is even thrown.
Gabe, why did you pinch hit for Jock Peterson? Why do you think I pinch hit for Jock Peterson? Oh,
He's so stubborn.
God. It's a week-long incident. He answered a question with a question. That arrogant SOB.
He wasn't arrogant when they won 107.
Nope, but when you go a whole 2 months without scoring a run, makes people really mad and they fire you.
Totally.
So I just, check the pulse. Dip the toe in the water. Where's everybody on Kyle Shanahan now? A month and a half ago, we had a market-wide, lengthy conversation about where we all sat with regard to Shanahan, with regard to the 2 quarterbacks. Enter Sam Darnold into the equation. He's so arrogant, he thinks Sam Darnold is Steve Young. That jerk. And so we all checked in on it, and I thought, in the end, looking back on it, that was a really interesting time and conversation that all of us had, even though got emotional, got hot sometimes, and all of that. But look at what 5 campy little wins do for you, and they're not campy or little. At least a couple of them weren't. But the point is it feels totally different. So what was arrogant, I would argue, is now got a different word. The word is right.
Or excellent. Either one.
Great.
Yeah.
But he was right. Now, he was wrong, but ended up being right. Everybody misses on draft picks. This was an unbelievable miss on a draft pick. But when you combine, I thought he struck the right chord in the press conference the next day with regard to how he spoke about trading Trey Lance. And then you get this. There's no way that 6 weeks ago, 8 weeks ago, when we're having this conversation, there's no way that anybody could have thought possible Brock Purdy is going to be in the MVP conversation, and the 49ers will have not even been challenged by any of their opponents as of yet.
Even you, a man who lives in Brockhanistan.
Well, when I'm not at Kyle's guest room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's usually, I think Kyle's guest room is in Brockhanistan, and that's where
2 birds with 1 stone.
Even you, a guy who has been pro Brock for a long time, longer than almost anybody in this market, even you, I don't think would have been so bold as to say,
no.
After 5, he's going to be the front runner for MVP.
Yeah. No, I would not have thought that. I understood where people, you heard it come up to where, and it was almost more like a compliment to Kyle and the roster. Oh, God, whoever's in that spot, is in a spot to put up massive numbers and all of that because of everything that's around him.
You need 2 for your Dibley. It's pretty good. You need to be a little bit higher pitched.
Sorry, yeah, and angrier.
Hardly.
Well,
never been happier.
Today. But anyway.
Such a mischaracterization
Sensation
of me. That's a buck, and I'll split it with you.
Anyway, point being, it hits different when now we have the visual of this really works. It doesn't just work. It doesn't kind of work. It really, really works. And so I think it changes, A, how it feels, and then B, is there a different level of acceptance with that word? Honestly, like, can we argue that arrogance in sports bothers us? Because as you and I just pointed out with all kinds of examples, it doesn't. It does not. George Kittle just scored his third touchdown, ripped his jersey off. He's going to get fined by the league for having a bleep Dallas shirt underneath his jersey, throws it up, and then does Instagram videos for his birthday. I never heard one person be like, this feels a little arrogant to me.
It's because they're 5-0.
Yep.
So arrogance paired with success is allowable. And that's why when we talk about Steph Curry, and I don't want to continue to badger him with the A-bomb, but if they hadn't won any title and, he was just Steph Curry, he was the same Steph Curry, but they had never won a championship, we would think differently about shimmy shakes and no-look threes and all the rest of it. But the fact that he's a 4-time champ and he's a 2-time MVP and all the rest of it, you give him a certain amount of a berth in terms of his success. Gabe Kapler is a great example. Is Gabe Kapler less arrogant now than he was when he won 107 games?
He's been the same guy the whole time.
The same guy.
Almost to a fault.
But we think about him differently because they went, 78 and 84? I don't even know how badly they wound up.
I think they could won
79 and 83 or
I don't even know.
Whatever it was.
I stopped looking.
It was so bad that now we think he's arrogant.
Too painful.
If they were 86 and 76 and they were a wild card team and maybe they gutted out a wild card series win, he wouldn't be arrogant. He'd still have a job.
Let's see. What did they end up
It's a fine line between, arrogance and self-confidence.
Giants won 79 games.
79, yeah.
79 games.
And I know you bet the over and that hurt you. Sorry, too soon.
No, I'm over it.
You're not.